She stood on my front porch with a clipboard and a smile that could freeze hell. "Your mailbox is 2 inches too tall," she said. "That's a violation." And I remember thinking, how can a person be this petty? How can someone have this much power over people's lives and choose to be cruel with it? I had no idea that 15 years later, I'd owned the entire neighborhood. And when I did, every single rule she fought for, gone. I'm Mrs. Stark, and today I'm telling you about the woman who taught me that patience isn't weakness, it's a weapon. My name is Sarah, and for 12 years, I lived at 47 Maple Street in a modest 3-bedroom suburban home outside Columbus, Ohio. It wasn't fancy. It was a starter home that my husband and I had scraped together a down payment for, stretching ourselves thin with a 30-year mortgage. We were proud of it. We were building something. Then, Patricia Hendricks became HOA president. Look, I didn't vote for her. Most people didn't, but she won by 3 votes. And once she had that gavel in her hands, something shifted. She became obsessed. Not with making the neighborhood better, but with making it hers, with control. It started small. She sent my husband a notice because our trash cans were visible from the street for 48 minutes too long one Tuesday morning. 48 minutes. She actually timed it. The fine was $50. Then it was my front garden. I'd planted some lavender. Pretty purple flowers, harmless, cheerful. Apparently, the HOA bylaws stated that landscaping had to be within the approved color palette. The approved palette was green, brown, and gray. Gray. She made me rip out the lavender. But here's the thing about Patricia. She didn't target everyone equally. She had favorites. The people who smiled at her book club meetings, who complimented her new Range Rover, who never questioned her. They could park their cars halfway onto the curb, they could let their hedges grow wild, they could do whatever they wanted. But me? She became her project. My kids' bicycles on the driveway? Violation. A wreath on my door 2 days after Christmas? Violation. I painted my front door navy blue, a sophisticated navy that I'd carefully chosen. Patricia sent me a letter saying it needed to be either classic white, black, or natural wood. The fine was $75. I painted it black.
Every month, a new notice. Every week, a new email. I started to feel this weight in my chest, that heavy feeling when you see the HOA letterhead in your mailbox. My therapist called it anticipatory stress. I just called it exhausting. My husband Tom kept telling me to let it go. It's just money, he'd say. But it wasn't about the money anymore. It was about the principle. It was about Patricia having this power over our lives, and she was using it to make us miserable because we didn't worship at her altar of conformity. In 2015, Patricia did something that changed everything. We were supposed to have a neighborhood block party for the 4th of July. My daughter had been looking forward to it weeks. I'd volunteered to organize the potluck. Everything was set. But 3 days before, Patricia sent out an email saying the event was canceled due to noise ordinance concerns. Noise ordinance concerns. On the 4th of July, in America. The real reason? My daughter got into Yale University on a full scholarship, and Tom had mentioned it to a neighbor. Word got around. Patricia didn't like that my family was getting positive attention. She didn't like that she wasn't the center of attention anymore. So she killed the party. And something in me broke. Not like I cried or had a meltdown. No, I just went quiet. I felt this shift happen inside my chest, like a door closing and a different door opening. I looked at Tom across the kitchen table and I said, "We're not staying here, and I'm going to own this neighborhood before I leave." He thought I was joking. I wasn't.
That same month, I started a career pivot. I'd been working in marketing for a mid-sized insurance company for 8 years. Stable job, good benefits,
decent 401k contributions. But I was stuck. That's when I met David Chen at a networking event. He was a real estate developer, and he was building commercial properties across the Midwest. We started talking, and he mentioned he needed someone to handle the marketing for his projects. I quit my job. Tom was terrified. We had a mortgage, 2 kids in high school, college tuition was coming, but I was done playing it safe. Safe had gotten us noticed for our mailbox height. Safe wasn't working. I became David's marketing director, and I learned everything about real estate development. Not just the surface stuff, the real machinery. How to identify undervalued neighborhoods, how to read market trends, how to navigate zoning laws and municipal permits, how to think like a developer. And every single day, I was building something. I was learning. I was growing. Meanwhile, back at 47 Maple Street, Patricia continued her tyranny. She sent us 3 more violations that year. 3. I paid the fines, I complied with every rule, but I wasn't angry anymore. I was patient. I was planning. In 2018, after 3 years of working with David, he offered me a partnership. We'd start our own development company. I'd be equal partner, equal stake. My salary tripled overnight. I threw myself into it. We bought old shopping centers and revitalized them. We developed mixed-use properties. We made money, real money, the kind of money where you don't stress about HOA fines anymore. I remember buying my first luxury car, not because I cared about the car, but because I wanted to feel what it felt like to have money without apologizing for it. Tom used to check in on how things were going at Maple Street. Patricia was still president, still sending notices, still being the same insufferable control freak. But I never asked him about it anymore. I was done thinking about her. Or at least, I thought I was. In 2022, something miraculous happened. Our company was doing extremely well. David and I had built a reputation for smart, ethical development. We'd revitalized 3 neighborhoods. We were being approached constantly with new opportunities. Then one day, David got a call from a commercial real estate broker in Columbus. Maple Street's developer wanted to sell. The entire neighborhood, all 47 homes, the small community center, the landscaped common areas. The original developer had passed away, and his estate was liquidating assets. The whole package was on the market. I took about 40 seconds to make my decision. I drove out to Maple Street for the first time in years. I parked down the road so no one would see me. I just sat there, looking at the neighborhood where I'd suffered, where I'd been made small by one woman's pettiness. And I realized something. Patricia had given me a gift. She'd motivated me to build something bigger than Maple Street. She'd lit a fire under me that never went out. Every violation, every humiliating notice, every moment I felt powerless, it had all pushed me forward. I called David. I said, I want to buy it. I want to own it personally. He tried to advise caution. It's emotional, he said. You should let this one go. But I told him the truth. I'm not doing this to be cruel. I'm doing it because it's the best investment decision we'll make this year. Trust me. He did. We bought the neighborhood. 47 homes, every single one. The price was $8.7 million. When the papers were signed, I drove back to Maple Street. I parked in front of my old house, number 47, and I sat there. Patricia Hendricks still lived 3 doors down, in number 51. She had no idea who'd just bought her entire world. The first thing I did was call an emergency neighborhood meeting. 230 people showed up. Patricia sat in the front row with her arms crossed, probably ready to argue about some violation or another. I stood up, introduced myself, and said, "Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Chen. Yes, I took my business partner's name for the company. I'm your new owner. Effective immediately, I'm dissolving the HOA." You could have heard a pin drop. Patricia's face went pale, actually pale. I watched the color drain from her skin as she realized who I was. I continued. All violations issued in the past 7 years are forgiven. All fines are refunded. We're sending checks next week. For those of you who want to keep some community standards, I'm establishing a voluntary neighborhood association with no enforcement powers. It's purely for those who want to coordinate fun things together. Participation is optional. I looked directly at Patricia. You're welcome to join, but there are no rules anymore. No fines, no control. The silence in that room was exquisite. What happened next was beautiful. People stood up and started talking, not to me, to each other. Neighbors who hadn't spoken in years because they were worried about violating some arbitrary rule. Families who could now paint their doors whatever color they wanted. Kids who could leave their bikes on the driveway without generating a violation notice. I saw Patricia try to stand up 3 times. Each time she sat back down. Finally, she walked out. That was 4 years ago. Patricia Hendricks moved out of Maple Street within 8 months. Her property value didn't change. My company made sure of it by investing in real improvements to the neighborhood. New sidewalks, better lighting, a community garden where anyone could plant whatever they wanted in whatever color they wanted. The neighborhood thrived. Turns out, when you remove the pressure, when you stop treating people like they need to be controlled, they actually flourish. Tom and I still own number 47. We visit sometimes. We never lived there full-time again. We moved to a gorgeous place in New Albany with an actual yard and no HOA anywhere within 1,000 miles. So, here's what I learned and what I want you to hear. Karma isn't about revenge. It's not about punishment or humiliation. It's about the universe eventually aligning with the truth. Patricia's flaw wasn't that she had power, it was that she used it to make people small. And I promise you, the people who use their power to make others small, they always fall. Not because the universe is punishing them, but because they've built their entire existence on a foundation of fear and control, and eventually that foundation cracks. Me? I built mine on something much stronger. So, here's my question for you. Who in your life has been underestimating you? And what are you going to do to prove them wrong? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one, and your stories inspire me as much as I hope mine inspires you. Thanks for hanging with Mrs. Stark today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story. I'll see you next time.